Welcome to Islam with Aslan, the channel where we uncover the hidden and fascinating history of Islam across the globe. Today we journey through the vast lands of Russia to explore the centuries-old presence of Islam in this diverse and complex region. If you enjoy thought-provoking historical insights, make sure to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to Islam with Aslan for more. Islam has a long and enduring history in Russia, dating back more than 1,000 years. It was first introduced to the region through trade and cultural exchange. By the early 7th century, Arab merchants and travelers had begun making contact with the peoples of the North Caucasus and along the Volga River. With the spread of Islam following the revelation to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in the early 7th century in Arabia, the new faith quickly traveled beyond the Arabian Peninsula. The first significant foothold of Islam in what is now Russian territory was established in 922 CE, when the ruler of Volga Bulgaria, Almush, officially accepted Islam as the state religion. This historic moment was recorded by the envoy of the Abbasid Caliph al-Muqtadi, named Ahmad ibn Fadlan. His detailed account of the journey to Volga Bulgaria provides one of the earliest written records of Islamic practice in Eastern Europe. Almush's conversion marked the beginning of a structured Muslim presence in the region. As centuries passed, Islam spread further into Russian lands through missionary work, migration, and the influence of powerful Islamic states. During the 13th century, the Mongol invasions played a paradoxical role in the spread of Islam. Though the Mongols were initially non-Muslim, many of their leaders eventually embraced Islam. Notably, Berka Khan, the ruler of the Golden Horde and a grandson of Genghis Khan, converted to Islam around 1252 and made it the dominant religion of his domain. The Golden Horde controlled vast territories across present-day Russia, including the Volga region, the Urals, and parts of Siberia. Islam continued to grow and take root in the region over the following centuries. The Tatar population, descendants of the Golden Horde, became one of the most prominent Muslim communities in Russia. Cities like Kazan in Tatarstan emerged as important centers of Islamic learning and culture. By the 15th and 16th centuries, Kazan had established a strong network of madrasas and mosques. The Kazan Khanate, which flourished during this time, was an Islamic state that played a significant role in shaping the identity of Russian Muslims. However, the rise of the Russian Empire under Ivan IV, also known as Ivan the Terrible, marked a turning point. In 1552, Ivan conquered Kazan, bringing it under Russian control. Despite the military defeat, Islam remained resilient. Muslims continued to practice their faith, and Kazan retained its status as a cultural and spiritual center. During the 18th century, under the rule of Catherine the Great, the Russian Empire adopted a more organized approach to managing its Muslim population. In 1788, she established the Orenburg Muslim Spiritual Assembly, the first official Islamic administrative body in Russia. This was a significant moment, as it allowed for state-recognized Muslim leadership and the official appointment of muftis. One of the earliest appointed muftis was Muhammadjan Kusainov, who served from 1790 to 1824. Throughout the 19th century, Islam continued to spread, particularly in the North Caucasus, where resistance to Russian expansion often took on a religious dimension. A key figure in this era was Imam Shamil, a political and religious leader of the Caucasian resistance against Russian rule. Born in 1797, Shamil united various tribes of Dagestan and Chechnya in a prolonged struggle that lasted from 1834 to 1859. Though ultimately captured, Shamil became a symbol of Muslim resistance and integrity. By the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Islam had become deeply entrenched in many regions of the Russian Empire, including the Volga-Ural region, Crimea, and the Caucasus. The 1905 Russian Revolution brought about greater religious freedoms, and Muslims took the opportunity to build more mosques and publish Islamic literature. In 1917, the All-Russian Muslim Congress was held, bringing together Muslims from across the empire to discuss their future in a rapidly changing political landscape. However, the establishment of the Soviet Union in 1922 marked a period of severe repression. Under Joseph Stalin, religious practices of all kinds were heavily restricted. Thousands of mosques were closed or destroyed. Islamic scholars were persecuted, and religious education was banned. Despite this, many Muslims continued to preserve their traditions in private. Following Stalin's death in 1953, there was a slight relaxation of religious policy. Some mosques reopened, and limited Islamic practice was tolerated under strict state supervision. By the 1980s, there were only a handful of functioning mosques in the entire Soviet Union. However, the resilience of the Muslim community remained strong. The fall of the Soviet Union in 1991 ushered in a new era for Islam in Russia. Freed from decades of suppression, Muslims across the country began rebuilding their institutions and reviving public expressions of faith. Mosques were reconstructed, Islamic schools were reopened, and new generations began to reconnect with their religious heritage. Today, Russia is home to one of the largest Muslim populations in Europe, with estimates ranging from 15 to 20 million people. Major Muslim communities exist in Tatarstan, Bashkortostan, Chechnya, Dagestan, and large cities like Moscow and St. Petersburg. In recent decades, Muslims have gained greater visibility in public life, with the construction of major mosques such as the Moscow Cathedral Mosque, reopened in 2015. Despite ongoing social and political challenges, the legacy of Islam in Russia remains strong. It is a history marked by perseverance, cultural richness, and deep spiritual roots that have withstood centuries of change. From the Volga Bulgars to the present-day revival, the story of Islam in Russia is one of survival, identity, and continuous contribution to the broader Russian society. Thank you for watching Islam with Aslan. If you found this journey through history enlightening, please support the channel by liking this video, sharing your thoughts in the comments, and subscribing for more compelling stories from Islamic history around the world. Until next time, peace be upon you.